Could he make her understand? Matt worried in confusion. I'm sorry, ma'am, he began. I know you don't want me to come here. I need help. Atien's dog is caught in a trap, a steel trap. I tried to open it, but the dog won't let me near it. The woman stared at him. He could not tell whether she had understood a word. He started to speak again. When the deerskin curtain was pushed aside, a second figure stood in the doorway. It was a girl, with long black braids hanging on her shoulders. She was dressed in blue, with broad bands of red and white beading. Strange, Matt thought, how much alike they looked, the old woman and the girl, standing side by side, so straight and proud. Me, Marie, sister of Atene, the girl said in a soft, low voice. Grandmother not understand. I tell what you say. Matt repeated what he had said and then waited impatiently while she spoke to the grandmother. The woman listened. Finally, her grim lips parted in a single scornful phrase. Aremus Piswat, she said. Good for nothing dog. Matt's awe vanished in anger. Tell her maybe it is good for nothing, he ordered the girl. Atien is fond of it, and it's hurt bad. We've got to get it out of that trap. There was distress in the girl's eyes as she turned again to the grandmother, her grandmother. He could see that she was pleading, and that in spite of herself, the old woman was relenting. After a few short words, the girl went into the cabin and came back in a moment holding in her hand a large chunk of meat, a small blanket folded over her arm. Me go with you, she said. Dog know me. In his relief, Matt forgot the torn hand he had been holding behind him. Instantly, the old woman moved forward and snatched at it. Her eyes questioned him. It's nothing, he said hastily. I almost got the trap open. She gave his arm a tug, commanding him to follow her. There isn't time, he protested. She silenced him, and with a string of words of which he understood only the scornful Piswat. She say, dog not go away, the girl explained. Better you come. Trap maybe make poison. Having no choice, Matt followed them into the cabin. He saw now that the woman's straight posture had been a matter of pride. She was really very lame, and stooped as she walked ahead of him. While she busied herself over the fire, he sat obediently on the low platform and looked about him. He was astonished that the little room, strange and so unlike his mother's kitchen, seemed beautiful. It was very clean. The walls were lined with birch bark and hung with woven mats and baskets of intricate design. The air was sweet with fresh grasses spread on the earth floor. Without speaking, the woman tended him, washing his hand with clean, warm water. From a painted gourd, she scooped a pungent-smelling paste and spread it over the wound, then bound his hand with a length of clean blue cotton. Thank you, Matt said when she had finished. It feels better. She dismissed him with a grunting imitation of Sackness's good. The girl who had been watching moved swiftly to the door. As Matt rose to follow her, the grandmother held out him a slab of corn bread. He had not realized how hungry he was, and he accepted it gratefully. The girl took the lead, brushing aside the curious children and the still suspicious dogs, and at the river's edge she untied a small canoe and Matt stepped into it, thankful that his half-dry clothes would not have to be drenched again. And once on the forest trail, she set the pace. He did not find it easy to keep up with her swift, silent stride. She was so like Atien, though lighter and more graceful. After a time, Matt ventured to break the silence. You speak good English, he said. Atien tell me about you, she answered. You tell him good story. Atien didn't tell me he had a sister. The girl laughed. Atien thinks squaw girl not good for much, she said. Atien only like to hunt. I have a sister too, he told her. She's coming soon." "What's she name?" "Sarah. She's younger than you." "But Marie isn't an Indian name, is it?" Matt asked. "It's Christian name. Me baptized by father." Etienne had never mentioned a priest either, but Matt knew that the French Jesuits had lived with the Indians here in Maine long before the English settlers came. "When my sister comes, will you come with Etienne to see her?" he asked. "It might be so," she answered politely. She sounded as though it never would be. At last they heard the yelping just ahead of them, and they both began to run. Even in his terror, the dog recognized the girl and greeted her with a frantic beating of his tail. He gulped at the meat she held out to him, but he still would not let either of them touch the trap. The girl had come prepared for this, and she unfolded the blanket that she had carried, threw it over the dog's head, and gathered the folds behind him. With surprising strength, she held the struggling bundle tightly in her arms, while Matt took the trap in both hands and slowly forced the jaws open. In a moment, the dog was free, escaping the blanket, bounding away from them on 3 legs, the 4th paw dangling at an odd angle. "I'm afraid it's broken," Matt said. He was still breathing hard from that last run and from the effort of tugging these steel jaws apart. "Etienne mend," the girl said, folding up the blanket as calmly as though they were simply tidying up a cabin. The dog hobbled slowly after them, along the trail, lying down now and then to lick at the bleeding paw. They made slow progress, and now that the worry was over, Matt was aware how tired he was. It seemed as though he had been walking back and forth over that trail all day, and the way to the village seemed endless. He was thankful when, halfway to the river, he saw Etienne approaching swiftly along the trail. "My grandmother sent me," he explained. "You get dog out?" "I couldn't do it alone," Matt admitted. Etienne stood watching as the dog came limping toward him. "Dog very stupid," he said. "No good for hunt. No good for smell turtle smell. For I take back such foolish dog?" His harsh words did not fool Matt for a moment, nor did they fool the dog. The scruffy tail thumped joyfully against the earth. The brown eyes looked up at the Indian boy with adoration. Etienne reached into his pouch and brought out a strip of dry meat. Then he bent and very gently took the broken paw into his hands. Aw, the doggy.